put yourself in a position where you can grow yourself without other people's help. And then when other people's help will come on top of it, it only makes it better.
Ever wonder how top DJs actually built their careers?
I had to do 15 years of hard work to get any of the recognition that I wanted.
Where I saw a turning point in my career is when I became true to myself.
From marketing and mindset to networking and negotiation, I'm giving you the tools you need to build a lasting career in dance music.
Give them bits of you and your everyday life.
You have to change the way you view the word no. Like me, I'm encouraged by it.
Join me, Olivia Mancuso, and industry leaders as we reveal what it really takes to turn your passion into profit. This is Elevated Frequencies. Welcome to your weekly elevation, your dose of real strategies for real results in dance music. I'm Olivia, and today you're getting an audio-only intro because I literally have one day at home between my trip I just came from in Brooklyn and my upcoming trip to LA, so I can't get in the studio. But what's ironic is in this interview that I shot a couple weeks ago, I told my guest that I had never been to LA before. So I guess I manifested it. My guest today started Blind Tiger in 2020 as an underground party series in LA. And instead of relying on big name DJs to sell tickets, he created something completely different. A brand so strong that people show up for the experience and not the lineup. We're diving into how he built a community that trusts his curation over celebrity names, why he kicks big DJs off the decks if they're not meeting his standards, and the creative strategies he used to think outside the box with his own artist project. This conversation will inspire you to find your own unique approach instead of following the same playbook as everyone else. Blind Tiger, you started in 2019, right?
2020, right on the tail end of Corona.
Oh, wow. Okay, so let's talk about that first, to establish some things for the listeners. What made you decide to create that?
Well, I've been a DJ my whole life since I was 16 years old. So BingeWatch is like an iteration of my life and projects and stuff. So when I moved to Los Angeles, it was 2017, and I was just coming off of doing a bass music project, and I kind of rebranded to do more house music and started, just fully started new Instagram and did a rebrand. And then as soon as I kind of started getting some leg, like getting booked at Space Yacht, I started my own little party with my friends called Bubble Up, which actually was picking up some heat, but we had like a lot of people involved. And then Corona hit, and all of a sudden everything stops. At that time, shout out to Dr. Fresh, who actually it was me, Freakon, and Dr. Fresh living in Tony's house. Tony's Dr. Fresh, and he really saved our life because, all of our income cuts off immediately, and he just bought a house, and he was like, hey guys, I got you. You can pay me on whatever schedule you can do it. If you're a little short here and there, we'll work it out. So we were able to just live there and produce for many months. But then, slowly I had to start generating money somehow. And so, all the San Francisco events, I think it was San Francisco where they first started doing outdoor parties. Mm-hmm. And it was distance shows where you do 6 feet apart and all of that. Yeah. And at the time, a friend of mine, he rented or bought a bar, which had a big outdoor area. So I kind of got connected through another friend with him. And we were like, okay, I got to start doing something, some kind of social distance shows. We set up the tables, put up the music. I brought whatever speakers we had, and, we just started doing a party. And it was so early on, we were the first people in LA, so it just got flooded all of a sudden. Wow. We had so many. So the police shows up, everybody, CDC, all of the people checking on us. And then the CDC were like, you guys are doing everything proper, it's fine, but we're getting noise complaints because we're outside. So the police then comes and they're like, you're getting noise complaints, and they're like, go inside the club. And we're like, no, but what about the social distancing? And it was already people where it was starting to fade out, and they were like, hey, we don't care. You guys need to go inside. You're causing too much ruckus, for the regular people that live around. You can't be doing this outside. So we just kind of went in to a small club, and that became kind of home base for what became Blind Tiger. And
wow.
Yeah, Blind Tiger stands for a speakeasy. It's another term.
Mm-hmm. You're probably the 10th person who's come on this show and has credited Dr. Fresh for doing something really nice for them. It sounds like a pretty amazing guy. It's so crazy that like this Blind Tiger kind of came out of necessity because you needed to make money and you needed to do something. And I feel like a lot of people tried to do similar things during COVID, but then they kind of fizzled out when people went back to like their normal routines. So what was the indication that like, oh, this is really good, like we can keep doing this even as the COVID regulations and stuff are fading out?
Well, it was an interesting time because Florida opened up in like early. And that's like so I started Binge Watch and I was touring before, like I've done bigger festivals like EDC, Beyond Wonderland. I used to be based in Portland, Oregon.
Okay, that's when you were based?
Yeah, so I mainly toured like the Northwest part. I'd be like Seattle, Portland, Eugene, San Francisco sometimes, but it was really hard for me to break into Southern California. Corona hit, then I started going on tour to Florida because I actually got connected with the Househeads Collective there. Shout out Manny and Gallo, who connected me originally with them. Manny is like one of my best friends and technically acts as my agent and kind of in collaboration with my manager. And he's like my East Coast, bookings type of situation. So we were there and we were trying, people were kind of freaking out. And at that time, John Summit was already on tour, Green Velvet, they were touring Florida. And like, we were like, people were trying to cancel us for going on tour in Florida and all of that. So like, when I came back to Los Angeles, I was like, damn, I can't like even post a flyer with my name. Like I just built out this new brand that I started, Binge Watch. And I was like, I can't put it on a flyer because they're going to come for me immediately. So that's kind of how Blind Tiger came about. And we didn't have Instagram. For the first like 6 months, we had no Instagram. It was just a random, like even Janessa, my best friend and partner and mother of my daughter, who we work with closely together. She was like, "What is this Blind Tiger thing?" I was like, I don't know. I looked up something that's like says speakeasy that's not a speakeasy, and I was like, sounded kind of cool.
It does. Wait, so okay. So that's like truly underground, because I think that word is getting co-opted a lot these days. Like people say, it's underground, the underground. But like you literally had to because you would get canceled if you weren't underground.
And it was kind of like a beautiful moment. Like when like I grew up in the like modern era of DJing already, where people, we had the internet, we had the flyers, we had the ticket links, but people would be talking like, oh, you had to call this number, and that was the only way you would find out where the place. It wasn't promoted like that. It was just word of mouth, and that's kind of how we did it. It was just like, at first it was literally just me texting everybody on my phone, and we came up with this like template where it was like, do not post this on social media. Do not, invite anybody. This is a private personal invite. This is a private event. No photos or videos taken allowed. The whole shebang. And so I would send out the text. And after like a few months of doing it, I was sending so many texts out that and I'd be meeting people at parties and just promoting the event so hard that people would be like, stop. Like I was an automated machine. It was so funny.
So funny. So you were really on top of it then if they're thinking you're an automated. So what was then the transition? Because I know underground is still part of like your culture, but then when did you start becoming like more legit where you're like, okay, now we need to implement marketing tools and make an Instagram?
I guess a shout out to Henry from Space Yacht. I don't know if you know, Space Yacht is a brand in Los Angeles.
Yeah, they do parties
so
here too.
He's one of the owners, him and London Bridge, and he started coming to the after hours. And he already, as I said, I like played my first Space Yacht right before Corona hit. So they were already kind of had their eye on me, and they came and saw like my previous party that we were doing, and so we started connecting, and they were doing Tuesdays basically every week at Sound Nightclub for many, many years. And so at that time already, we kind of became more legitimate. We started, but we still didn't have even an Instagram. People were already partying, other parties were starting up. So he would come out all the time, and they were doing their season of Tuesdays. And they, I guess, wanted to take like 4 months off or something. And so I was trying to get him to give me a headline at Sound Nightclub, because before that I would only like open or do like, and I'd be like, hey, I need a headline. I can fill the space out. I guarantee like it's going to be fun. And so he actually set me up with a date, and then he was like, hey, I have to cancel the date. Like I have to book this other person, but I got a better offer for you. And he's like, you guys want to do 16 weeks? And we were like, what? the whole season. He's like, yeah, we want to take a break, but sound wants us to keep going. So we that's how we tapped into like being in a major club in Hollywood.
Okay.
Through them, and that's where like Janessa came in more and started taking over social media. And she's like, okay, we need Instagram, we need to get the photographers.
Were you nervous about like losing your core audience at all, going from like underground to having an official night?
Not really, because Sound and Framework is like, for all the mainstream companies that we have, is like the most underground. You know, they bring Michael Bibi, they're bringing, you know, Adam Port, you know, they bring out like WAF, and you know, they do some like sort of like, you know, I'd say Clooney and maybe Dom Dalla are the shows they've done. They're like more on the mainstream end, but they're definitely tapped into this like underground Ibiza sound. So our people were actually really excited because our venue and the venue where we operate out of, 7 days a week, 365 is that small club that we started doing in Corona during like the tail end of Corona, and so that's open. So when we do party on a Tuesday at Sound, everybody still goes to the other club right after we're closed.
You were doing both. Okay, wow, that's
just gave us more legitimacy, more space,
right.
And like that venue, I just did it on Thursday. We did same thing. We did Sound till 2 a.m. and then that's why it was Vinny Freakon's birthday, and so I had him out as a special guest.
That's awesome.
Super fun. And then went to the after hours till 5 a.m. and
wow.
Yeah.
I have to admit something to you.
Go ahead.
I've never been to LA.
You gotta come.
So like people think that it's crazy, but the reason why is because I was a news reporter forever and I could never travel. It just was not feasible. And anytime I did travel, I'd always come to Chicago to see my family, right? Because I was in Miami, I was working in Florida and whatever. And then, you know, I just like we're closer to the East Coast, so I go to New York a lot, and I still haven't been to LA. And people are starting to harass me, like you have to come check out the scene. But then I've also heard not so good things about the scene. But you can say that for anywhere, Miami, Chicago, right? So what's your take as being an integral part of developing the culture there? What's your take on like the criticism and just like the general conversation around it?
I can see how people, you know, it's funny because once you start touring, you can even like when I go to Chicago, I'm preparing a certain set because I know there's certain types of people here. When I'm in Miami, I'm kind of, and you know, I'm from Russia originally, so like I've had to learn. Like I have Russian friends who I'll be telling them, they're like, why do they do this in America? I was like, you're not even gonna understand. Like they just do it. This
like
is how
what? Like what?
Like putting ice in water. You know what I mean? Or like it's just something you guys do, and like in Russia we never
I didn't give you ice. Maybe it's because I
knew. But basically, I feel like that's the same way. And like when I lived in Portland and I first came to LA, I felt that kind of cold shoulder because like in Portland I was the guy. Like you know, I was probably like the big for like maybe a year. It was me and the partner. We were in a duo, and I think we were probably the biggest like local duo. We would open for Flex Pavilion, Steve Aoki, like big stadiums, like 1,000, 2,000 capacity, like, you know, those kind of mega clubs that they have like only a few of them in Portland, but we were playing like once, twice a month. You know, I'd be going to like a store and people are like, oh, you're that, you know, blah, blah. And so then I moved to go to LA, and in LA, like everybody's somebody, and everybody has opened for somebody, and you know, you had release on this label, and you know, so you come in, and all of a sudden, you know, that's your like claim to legitimacy. We're like, oh well, I did it, and they're like, you're in LA now, everybody did it here, you know what I mean? At some point, and you know, you're running into like, you know, people, you know, even in my bass career. That, you know, I'd be running into like Valentino Khan and all these like random guys that are there, and you just, you know, you bump into them, or like even Henry from Space Yacht. When I first came there, I wanted to like because Space Yacht, they do like both bass shows and house music. So I'd first go to their parties and like try and network and be like, hey, like my name is Art, I'm from Portland, like the whole spiel. Like I've opened for these guys. And I had like a decent, like, you know, even like I had an original song that just did 1 million streams on YouTube on its own that I self-released. You know, it was doing really good on Spotify. You know, my Instagram was doing good. But I wasn't like, somehow I wasn't tapped into the right circles. And I definitely felt like a little bit almost jaded because I was like, in my mind, like my value was all on the internet and like on Facebook. That was what I was using. It was like Facebook and SoundCloud, but then it was also becoming going from Facebook and SoundCloud to Instagram and Spotify. That was becoming like what you needed to have to be like considered for bookings and whatnot. And like my SoundCloud was great. My Facebook had like 20,000 followers or something like that. So I was getting booking, but then it was slowly start fading away. And I was like, oh, how do I like? And so I actually had to take like a year off and just be like, I'm not having fun. I'm overthinking. I'm jaded. I'm not even enjoying myself at the party. I'm like, what is this new style? This is, I was like one of those grumpy old DJs and producers. And so then I was like, I took a break and I moved in with Tony and Vinny, or I didn't even move in with them yet. I just started like hanging out with them a lot. And they were playing more bass house, and I was already trying to kind of not do as much of like, but because I was so heavy into bass music, my sound early on was definitely like more bass housey. And not until Vinny introduced me to Susan and Hood Politics, which is right now, they're definitely more on that side where it's more bass heavy.
Yeah.
But early Hood Politics, like 2019, where it was like Susan, Natty, and Peyton running it. It was very housey and it was like the party tech. And for me, that was like my methadone of a bass music because it had like the big, it was like almost like a Fisher situation where you have like a big horn on the drop and then it's like boom, 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 boom. And I was like, okay, that's my shit. I get it. Now, like it finally tapped in. I feel like, it took me a while and it took me to get out of my head to be, and now like that I have, like I could put on a DJ and there's so many DJs in Los Angeles that, I gave them their first gig and now they're playing big Insomniac shows and, getting booked and touring, the Chase West, Ranger Truck, they're all playing at my club before. To be honest, I could try and think of a bunch of, but like they were like these guys and they'd be like, hey, what's up? And so, some people figure it out and some people, but you have to enjoy to be where you're at, you know what I mean? And when I see people who come in to like, they see Blind Tiger, they see like, oh, like I need to become, and they're very networky, and our community is not like that. We're all like, I'll put a DJ on who is a good DJ over like, I'm not gonna name any names, but I've definitely kicked off like big DJs of the decks because they were just playing bullshit and threw on one of my residents who nobody knows who they are. But in our club, that's what it's about. It's all about the music and like, I'm trying to like, I feel like I've been like the Robin Hood of EDM because I'm like, when big, and we have like, sometimes we don't operate like a regular club. Like, I don't have like, I don't talk to agents. I don't sign, we don't sign any contracts. Like, if somebody big comes, it's because I know them and I was at the party and it's like, and sometimes people want us to do agreements. That. For example, we just did a party at Palm Springs Splash House. And it was amazing, but we were, they just want us to do our thing, throw an after party, and bring some special guests. And so they're telling me like, oh, who can you bring? Diplo, Matroda? And I was like, well, I know Diplo's photographer. Like I could hit him up, see if they're going to come through. Oh, I can hit, Matroda plays my song all the time and we would open for him in Los Angeles quite a lot. So his tour manager was just messaging me. I was like, I could probably hit him up. But, as soon as you start getting these bigger entities involved and giving it even like a week leeway time, then it's like, oh, I don't know. I got to talk to the management. I got to do there's all these questions.
All the politics of it. Yeah. Yeah. So you do secret lineups too, right? You still do that?
We just don't announce them at all.
So explain the psychology, because now more people, let me take a step back. Do you feel like people are copying you?
100%. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you the exact things. Like, do you see like
name them
11 p.m. too late, like / too late? How people do this? That was the reason why I did it. Like, I started this originally because I couldn't put the time that the party ends, so it's not suspicious. So I'm just like, it's just too late.
Is that because LA they close early?
Yeah, 2 a.m. is the cut off. So technically,
Yeah.
And then have you ever seen people do like 3 genres, like? And then genre / genre, like it'd be like house, tech. So I started doing it. It was like house slash tech slash minimal, and then people started doing like Latin slash tech slash or like they'll just add like a different genre and rearrange it a little bit. I definitely feel like with the flyers too, I do all the designs and stuff, and like before, I felt like all the flyers were like very 3D and stuff, and like even the afters, like we had the afters on the. I don't know, I'm not wearing the one T-shirt right now, but we had like all these little graphics that I came up with. Even the phrasing, like secret location, text, quote unquote, the afters to this number to get the details, and everybody. Like now, I have to like do new stuff. So
That's what I was going to ask. Like, so where does the evolution go when? I mean, because you were in a unique position of kind of being a pioneer, starting with COVID. But now as other collectives catch on, which I think is a good thing, by the way. I think it's a good thing when you inspire other
100%.
people because there's always room for more, and everybody needs to be different, right? And like do their own thing. But there's always like, I get excited when I see other dance music podcasts popping up because that means there's an appetite for it. So there's a bigger audience out there for me. You don't want to be the only one doing something because then there's no proof that there's enough people out there who want what you're selling. So how do you like let us in on the secret sauce? Like how are you thinking about evolving? Like what's next for you?
Honestly, for me, what I'm well, first of all, to address what you said about collectives, because there is a tasteful way of appreciating and getting inspired by somebody, and there's just like a copycat cliche.
Sure.
And so there's definitely certain collectives that I really like. I don't even want to name names, but it's like very cringe. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
And then, there's other collectives who, they started because they came to our party, they got inspired by the kind of music we play, and those guys come to me and they're like, hey, like, I'm inspired by what you did, like, we're trying to do something similar, and we're lining up, like, for example, Inland Groove, there is a new after hours. It's like in Inland Empire, which is like an hour, 2 hours away from Los Angeles, so they got kind of their own little scene. And Eddie Levin, who is running it, they're doing very successful, and they're doing big warehouse parties now, sometimes bigger than like our small warehouse party that we do every day. And, we're doing a collaboration next month, because we've been communicating. He's always been respectful, and, we've booked him, and it's always been, and he's admitted, he's like, hey, I've been inspired by what you did. And like, I love that,
and,
what I mean?
And the important thing is they put their own flavor on it, and they're not just waiting for your move to make their next one. Yeah.
But for me right now, I feel like what I've tuned into is really, I feel like it's all really about the music, and I feel like right now with social media, and it's obviously a topic that everybody talks about, and I don't hate social media, but I do think that it's definitely taken away from like the actual music. Like I'm the DJ's DJ. Like I have vinyl turntables. I have my own record that I pressed, years ago with my friend that we wrote. Like I can scratch and beat juggle, and I've, been inspired by like Richie Houghton and Guy Barato, and like, people who do live sets, and like even Deadmau5 with his production. Like for me, music is about that, what I mean? Being really pushing the boundaries. And sometimes, I feel like I've gotten so deep into production and like my understanding, like I do multiple other projects, they're all musical, but like I've done a project where it's called Laser Harp, and it's like we've taken it to Burning Man and different science museums. But so my partner, he owns the thing, and it's kind of his vision. He's this big burner, and I'm like the tech and the artist behind it. And so you trigger a laser, and the laser sends signal to a computer, and then computer we have like a screen, so you're like in a full room. So each laser triggers a sound, and sound triggers a visual, and then there's a background playing, and then if you're not playing with it, it stops, and everything is quantized. You could have kids or adults playing it. We have an iPad with like a bunch of different styles of music, and like I'm using like Resolume, Ableton, or all of it combined, and we have like an 8 surround sound system. So like I guess that might be also one reason why we've been so successful. Like I've tuned the sound system in our club so well. It's like some people will tell me, like I have friends who I've explained to them, and they're like, "You explained to me like why it sounds so good," and now I go to other places and and they're not even sound people. They're like,
I wouldn't consider myself like a sound person, but there's nothing worse because you just feel something's off. It's like you want to be immersed in the experience, and when the sound is off, it just.
Yeah, you want to feel the bass. Yeah. You don't want the highs to be too sharp. Like, if you feel like putting in earplugs, but I feel like the highs should be to the point where, like, the speakers need to be up high. I mean, and it's a whole, it's definitely like, I just bought like my own portable rig maybe a year and a half ago. We've been doing these summer pop-ups with, and it's like, I was about to buy like a Void sound system, but I went with like this kind of higher end JBL system that I researched, and we've been setting up, and like I'll go to some venues and they'll have like the super high end, like a Function One or like a Void, and it's just like I don't know if they want to run it so loud so early, or like sometimes it's just painful to be around it. It's not like it doesn't build up throughout the show properly or something, So I definitely pride on all of that, and so for me, I feel like. With Blind Tiger, that's all, that's how it's been. And, I book DJs not because I look at their Instagram or because I saw like a clip of them. I don't even, or because they said I released on so-and-so label. Like we have like a rigorous, like mix. You have to submit your mix.
Yeah.
Unless like I know who you are, or like, I'm already aware of you.
It's kind of like how I'm seeing it is Blind Tiger is the brand to uphold, and Blind Tiger sets the standard. So you find DJs that meet that standard versus relying on the artist brand to carry the show.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of venues that just like don't necessarily, and I'm not saying this as a bad thing. There's just some venues that don't have a culture. They're just a club, and they rely on whoever's playing to come to like bring the people, to bring the whatever. And that's just a different way of doing things. But when you have something like this, like it starts as like a grassroots collective, and then whatever, like you set the standard. People uphold Blind Tiger to a standard, not the individual artists that play. So it's more on you.
100%.
It's your reputation.
And honestly, I wanted to also give a huge shout out to our like community of just people who go because they trust us. And, I found it, like I said, with the bigger DJs, because we did end up doing lineups for a while, and all the like, smaller DJs are really excited because, you get to post your name on the flyer and all of that. But then like, all of a sudden, people start getting egos and stuff, and this whole issue is like, oh, who is getting billed over who, and like, and
whose
then
name is bigger.
You put somebody on the lineup, and they've been promoting it for a month with their name on it, and then WAF shows up at the club, and I'm like, hey, we gotta get you off the decks, and they're like, well, I've been promoting for a month, and then another night I'm not at the club, and somebody important shows up, and they won't hop off the decks because they don't have somebody who will tell them the way I could tell, and which sometimes people, they've definitely had issues with that and that's kind of how I went back, and I kind of, all the new residents that we have, and we did this kind of little revamp because, I was starting to get into issues where I was like, hey, we all need to understand, like, how to explain, like everybody is always ready. Like I was at sound, and it was kind of started slowing down by the end. And I was like, okay, like, and Janessa was playing. I was like, okay, we need to throw one of the residents on so she doesn't play for the closed club type of deal. And I turn around, and first guy I see, I'm like, I'm sure he's gonna play good music, Guilty Pleasures. And I was like, you got your drive? He's like, I got it. He's like, man, I've been dreaming to play at this club forever. He got so excited, he just hopped on. And same thing, like at the afters, if I show up, could be like it could be me, you know what I mean? Yeah. I could just be out on the town, not even planning to come by our club with my friends. And that was frequent maybe a few weeks ago where, we end up partying, going to this party, it's 3 a.m. We're like, we're going to the club. We're gonna DJ. And that's kind of, it's nice because then people are aware, like, okay, I'll play, and then if I do something like that where I'm like, hey, you gotta hop off, we have some special guests, like usually I'll be like, get them like a good solid Saturday booking right away, like, hey, we got you, like,
so you have to keep it fluid.
It's a balance.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's a different way of doing things, and I haven't really talked to any other event producers who do things that way. but to me, it sounds like you're just paying attention to what the vibe of the party is and moving the puzzle pieces around to make sure that you maintain the standard that you set.
Yeah, and yeah, I feel like, and yeah, just everybody has an understanding of like, everybody plays back to back, and everybody's, the way we can move sets around. It's really rare that we have issues where, somebody was supposed to play or somebody wants to come and play, can't play. But, it's been, I feel like it's just allowed for a more, better flow of music in that sense.
And so now the record label is the next iteration of the Blind Tiger brand. So was that always part of the plan?
Yeah, I've been always releasing music, and I've had multiple different labels. My previous one, which I still technically have, it's called Binge World, and that's just my self-release label, which I never really set up a page for. Just how I would self-distribute music when I wanted to self-release an EP. But Blind Tiger was just kind of, everybody wanted it, and and that's kind of goes back to how we operate. It's like we have this very specific sound, and it's like, how there's like the UK deep tech, and then there's like the Miami minimal, and now there's like, the whole new Beltran sound coming in, which is more like aggressive and electro, but it's still considered minimal. But that's kind of right now not really welcome at our party, I feel like, just because it gets too aggressive. The Miami vibe, like the groovy, all of that always mixes in. We have a lot of Latinos. And so, the sound that we curated is like, people call it the Blind Tiger sound. It's like this, and I'm from Europe, so I'm inspired by a bunch of like European super underground, like, I'm like, if I don't know any names in a set, it's even better. Like, I was like, I want to not be able to spell the name, and have like a cool song. So I feel like people have been referring to it, and as you said, like other parties have copied that sound, and I just felt like it's time to. I finally flushed it out, since that like was the funk that I was in, was the bass music. Like I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't feel part of any scene, which I was like part of it in Portland. Like there was, a certain time where I was so tuned in, it was like during when trap just became popular, and, I found the right party, I made the right friends, and got plugged into the right network, and then, I could go home, spend 30 minutes, make a song, go play it at the club, and the whole club is jumping, and everybody is excited, and I'm enjoying playing it, and I'm not overthinking it. And that's kind of how I feel where I'm at right now. Like the sound is figured out, and now there's like all this community foundation around this sound. And we do have, we'll vary when we do like a day party, and it's like a daytime vibes. I'm booking the DJs that, and everybody has an understanding. Oh, we're playing more vibey, more. If it's like 5 a.m., it might be driving, minimal. So it is all these slight different genres of house music, but it's definitely like underground house music. It's definitely has to have like a groove to it. And it has to have cool sound design, and kind of try and push a boundary in some capacity, but it also has to be playable at the club. So like it has to be something I'm going to be able to play at the club. So we have a few records that we already kind of have on hold and stuff, as well as like my collaboration with Janessa and some other things that we're planning out. But we're going to start doing like once a month, once every 2 months, but I'm trying to do more. I don't know if you saw the whole thing, but like I made stickers, T-shirts, hot sauce, freaking keychains. We printed actual physical CDs and made the stickers and made the whole thing. And so we set up merch booths this past week. And actually at Palm Springs we were, and just... I was kind of wanted to be more about that and more about physical aspects of it. And it's kind of funny because like I'm starting to tap back into merch, and I feel like I made more money this past week on merch than I've made off of Spotify in the past 3 years.
If you can make cool merch that people actually want to wear, it's such a game changer. I'm going through that right now. Chicago Music Nexus, the music business conference I co-founded with Sherm from Hood Politics.
Good boy.
He's the best. We are working with our designer right now on merch, and I'm like, I don't even want Chicago Music Nexus to be the main focus of the merch. I want it to be like Chicago focus. I won't get into all the details, but I know we're going to like print on that merch because it's fucking cool and it's more expensive for us to produce, but it's like stuff that people actually want. And like in your situation, you guys have built a brand that people are obsessed with and like want it's a signal to other people. I know about Blind Tiger. Like you know what I mean?
And it's
like,
also marketing.
Yeah,
like, you're basically, they're paying you to then be your little billboard, you know
exactly.
what I mean? Which is,
you have to either make the merch really cool and wearable, that it's not just promoting your brand, but it's something people actually want to wear, or you have to obviously create a brand that people become obsessed with and like care about. And those are the two ways.
Yeah, they just want to, I don't know, I did this font and I did the logo that I found, and we have bootleggers. Like I have people who come bootleggers. Like they've made t-shirts and they come to the club and give it away to people.
That's crazy.
We have a guy who makes stickers. In our bathroom, he made hundreds of variations of the logo that I did, and they have like different flags behind them, different things, and the whole bathroom door, he stickered it up, and then that became like now it's like when people go to the club, that's like the photo op. You have to take a picture
You're
next
like,
to the wall, next to the door.
Do you, that coaster under your, that's Nervous Records. So he told me, Mike told me, the founder of Nervous, that was how they got big. So a bunch of bootleggers in Europe, like before Nervous even got into dance, like they started getting into dance music because they were strictly hip hop in the beginning, started bootlegging their brand, and it was everywhere. And he was walking through some airport in Europe and saw it, and he's like, that's not our t-shirt. And that's like what blew. So in a way, it can like kind of help you. Obviously, you don't want it to happen.
Luckily,
but like,
it's not as good of a quality. So like whenever they do like pins and stuff, and it's so funny because like I'll actually, and as I say, like there's one guy in specifically, he gives it out, and like he'll give it out to my staff, and I'll come to the office and I'll be like, what the hell is this? Like, what is this pin? We didn't make this. They're like, oh, I was like, I told you guys to tell him not to do it. But like now he's like almost like a sweetheart. I'm like, he doesn't listen and he just comes and makes.
Well, he's doing it out of the goodness of his heart. It seems like, not to like,
no,
you know,
he just gives it away.
Yeah.
He just gives it out.
You know what? I mean, that's pretty much like the best compliment you could get. So for last question for you, for anybody who has seen your success, who knows your success, wants to, because it's a big pillar of this show to inspire artists to like do something more for themselves than just aspire to be a touring DJ, like do something more. If someone wanted to start anything, a record label, collective, whatever, similar to what you've built, what's your advice for them in 2025?
I guess back to music industry, some people work really well with the whole agent. You get picked up by Wasserman, you get put on a certain tour, aligned with certain artists, you're doing this. And like, that's what kind of most artists, the way they see how they have to make that career happen. It's like, okay, I have to release on this label. I have to get, go network to meet this agent, and then you kind of get lost and you forget. And like the amount of artists that I've seen struggle financially, which some of them are my close friends, because they just keep chasing that rabbit where it's like, and then, sometimes they'll catch it a little bit and then it fades in and out, and, you're riding that. And, for regular people, it will sound like, or you're starting to make $2,000-$3,000 on DJ bookings per gig. Like, oh my God, you're doing $3,000 per hour. But you're like, flight, hotel, pay the manager,
pay the media, if you
everything.
Bring the
so it's like you're making nothing while you're paying rent at home. So for me, it's like, I feel like having like a solid residency, which what happened to me as Blind Tiger, like I don't have to use my personal name to promote any of these parties. I don't have to use my personal Instagram, but I can come and I'm it's my sound, it's my friends playing that I'm. And I feel like, and that comes with the label. It is great to aspire for these bigger things, and, aim for the mountains. Like, I just want to be on EDC main stage, but like, I was on one of EDC's main stage, and once you slowly get there, sometimes things are not like as you perceive them once you get there. You know what I mean?
Doing Blind Tiger's done more for your career than playing 100%, EDC.
Both financially, mentally, I've been happier and healthier, and I don't feel like I have to prove anybody anything. I'm just doing my thing, and it's kind of by cutting out a bunch of middlemen and just kind of building my own system. and just kind of working with my friends and paying like, and that we kind of work like a comedy club where like my door people, they're DJs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the artist liaison, everybody, the merch booth, like it's all just our friends kind of intersecting. So I'm saying like, just find your friends, and like what I love doing is I love playing music with my friends and having a good time. And this is what it's all about to me. If I can make a living doing that, and I can have a peace of mind where I don't feel like I'm run down. I love touring, but like when you're touring just to make crumbs, and you can't even it's not fun. So I feel like the people need to be more invested into the process and figure out, how do I create so it's this experience. I don't have to maybe go get a regular job, because that's what a lot of people do. That they'll go and they'll get like a second job, and then like their second job, like get a second job in music. Go like when I actually took a break, I went and I'd be at all Insomniac music festivals as a model. I'd be like at Heart Festival, and they'd just be at the merch booth because my friend hooked me up, and I would go and I would network, and I was so put yourself in a position where you can grow yourself without other people's help, and then when other people's help will come on top of it, it only makes it better, because you don't rely as much on anybody, you know what I mean? And I feel like people definitely feel like, oh, if I don't have this and that, I can't do it. But it's like, yes, you can. You can get 100 people out, and if you charge them all $20-$30, you can probably make your month rent without having to travel to a new city. Why don't you do that?
It's amazing. It's amazing advice, and it's just, you start small and you build your way up, and it's yours. And I think that's a perfect note to end on, because that's exactly what this show is about. Build something that's yours that no one can take away from you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks for
incredible.
tightening it up like that.
Yeah, this has been incredible.
Appreciate you.
That is your weekly elevation. Here's what I want you to take away from this conversation with Binge Watch. You don't need to throw events to apply these principles to your artist brand. Set your own standards for the music you release, the shows you play, and the collaborations you take on. Make people come to you because they trust your taste and quality, not because you're riding someone else's wave. And build something so authentic that fans show up for you, not just the lineup you're on. Speaking of building your brand, Chicago Music Nexus is half sold out, and we've added incredible new features this year. We've got a professional press pick station, we've got demo drops where you can get your tracks reviewed, and we have a special presentation on how to be a DIY artist from the founders of TrackStack. Those are great guys to network with. You don't want to miss that opportunity. Plus, the pre-party happening the night before. The DJ contest did just close for that, but tickets to the pre-party are just $22 right now. Lock them down before they go up. It is your chance to network before the big event. You don't get this type of career development anywhere in the US. I'm telling you, it's true. So don't sleep on this one. All the details are in the show notes. Remember, success in dance music isn't about luck, it's about strategy. I will talk to you next week.